अगर हमारा संविधान सोचने, बनाने और लिखने में सबसे बड़ा हाथ बटाने वाले डॉक्टर भीमराव अंबेडकर संविधान सभा के आखिरी ऐतिहासिक वक्ता के रूप में खड़े हुए।
Sir, looking back on the work of the Constituent Assembly, it will now be 2 years, 11 months, and 17 days since it first met on the 9th of December 1946. During this period, the Constituent Assembly has altogether held 11 sessions. These 11 sessions of the Constituent Assembly have consumed 165 days. Out of these, the Assembly spent 114 days for the consideration of the draft Constitution. Coming to the drafting committee, it was elected by the Constituent Assembly on 29th of August 1947. Since August 30th, it sat for 141 days, during which it was engaged in the preparation of the draft Constitution. Mr. Naziruddin Ahmed has coined a new name for the drafting committee. He calls it a drifting committee. Mr. Naziruddin must no doubt be pleased with his hit, but he evidently does not know that there is a difference between drift without mastery and drift with mastery. If the drafting committee was drifting, it was never without mastery over the situation. It was not merely angling with the off chance of catching a fish. It was searching in known waters to find the fish it was after. I'm glad to find that with the exception of a solitary member, there is a general consensus of appreciation from the members of the Constituent Assembly of the work done by the drafting committee. I feel so overwhelmed that I cannot find adequate words to express fully my gratitude to them. I came into the Constituent Assembly with no greater aspiration than to safeguard the interests of the scheduled castes. I had not the remotest idea that I would be called upon to undertake more responsible functions. The credit that is given to me does not really belong to me. It belongs partly to Sir Benegal Narsingh Rao, the constitutional advisor to the Constituent Assembly, who prepared a rough draft of the Constitution. Much greater share must go to Mr. S.N. Mukherjee, the chief draftsman of the Constitution. On the 26th January 1950, India would be a democratic nation, in the sense that India from that day would have a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. A thought comes to my mind. What would happen to her democratic constitution? Will she be able to maintain it, or will she lose it again? If we wish to maintain democracy not merely in form, but also in fact, what must we do? The first thing in my judgment we must do is to hold on to constitutional methods of achieving our social and economic objectives. It means we must abandon the bloody methods of revolution. It means that we must abandon the method of civil disobedience, non-cooperation, and satyagraha. Where constitutional methods are open, there can be no justification for these unconstitutional methods. These methods are nothing but the grammar of anarchy. And sooner they are abandoned, the better for us. The second thing we must do is to observe the caution which John Stuart Mill has given to all who are interested in the maintenance of democracy, namely, not to lay their liberties at the feet of even a great man, or to trust him with power which enables him to subvert their institutions. This caution is far more necessary in the case of India than in case of any other country. For in India, bhakti, or what may be called the path of devotion or hero worship, plays a part in its politics unequaled in magnitude by the part it plays in the politics of any other country in the world. The third thing we must do is not to be content with mere political democracy. These principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity are not to be treated as separate items in a trinity. Liberty cannot be divorced from equality. Equality cannot be divorced from liberty. Nor can liberty and equality be divorced from fraternity. On the 26th of January 1950, we are going to enter into a life of contradictions. In politics, we will have equality. And in social and economic life, we will have inequality. In politics, we will be recognizing the principle of one man, one vote, and one vote, one value. In our social and economic life, we shall, by reason of our social and economic structure, continue to deny the principle of one man, one value. How long shall we continue to live this life of contradictions? How long shall we continue to deny equality in our social and economic life? If we continue to deny it for long, we will do so only by putting our political democracy in peril. We must remove this contradiction at the earliest moment, or else those who suffer from inequality will blow up the structure of this political democracy so laboriously built up by this assembly.
डॉक्टर अंबेडकर के बोले गए शब्द आज भी जैसे इस सदन में गूंजते रहते हैं। अब सिर्फ एक काम बचा था, संविधान का अनुमोदन और उस पर सारे सदस्यों के हस्ताक्षर।
It now remains to put the motion moved by Dr. Ambedkar to the vote of the House. The question is that the constitutions settled by this assembly be passed. The motion is adopted.
24 जनवरी को संविधान सभा आखिरी बार एक महत्वपूर्ण काम के लिए मिली। इस दिन जन गण मन को राष्ट्रगान और वंदे मातरम को राष्ट्रगीत के रूप में अपनाया गया और इसी दिन नए गणतंत्र के पहले राष्ट्रपति का चुनाव भी किया जाना था। लोकतंत्र की परंपराओं की नींव रखते हुए 2 लोग पद के उम्मीदवार बने, प्रोफेसर के.टी. शाह और डॉक्टर राजेंद्र प्रसाद। सभा ने उसी व्यक्ति को चुना जिसने 3 साल संविधान बनाए जाने की प्रक्रिया की अगुवाई की थी। डॉक्टर राजेंद्र प्रसाद भारत गणराज्य के पहले राष्ट्रपति बने। अब तो बस 26 जनवरी का इंतजार था। देश भर में उत्सव की सी तैयारियां हो रही थीं। और क्यों ना होता ऐसा? सदियों बाद एक दबा कुचला मुल्क अपने खुद के बनाए गए रास्ते पे चलने जा रहा था। संविधान के बनने से लेकर अब तक हमने लगभग 100 बार अपने आईन को बदला है। कभी किसी परिस्थिति के बदल जाने पर, कभी किसी अनुच्छेद को स्पष्ट करने के लिए, कभी किसी राजनीतिक पार्टी के अपने स्वार्थ को सिद्ध करने के लिए, तो कभी उन स्वार्थों को फिर निरस्त करने के लिए और कभी डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल्स को और सार्थक बनाने के लिए। जैसा कि विद्वान ग्रैनविल ऑस्टिन ने लिखा है, equipped with the basic qualifications, attitudes and experience for creating and working a democratic constitution, Indians did not default their twisted destiny. यानी गणतंत्र चलाने के गुणों और अपने हुनर, हौसले, हिम्मत की बदौलत हिंदुस्तानियों ने किस्मत से मिलन की लगाई ये बाजी हारी नहीं, जीत ली है।